Love music, live sport. Talking football with Bill Young and Ali Graham on Rock Sport Radio.
It's good to have you here tonight, halfway through the week. Of course, Wednesdays means Ali Graham in the studio with me. And what a busy programme we've got. We will speak to Connah's Quay Nomad striker Jamie Insall around about 6:30. Mike Mulraney will tell us why Peter Grant was the ideal man for the job at Alloa. And here's the one that's been stirring up all the interest on the social media this afternoon. Nima Tavalley will talk about Rangers' alleged new signing, the giant Bologna centre-back who is called Philip Helander. Rangers reputed to be paying around £4 million. I've heard 4 million, 4.1, 4.2. I've also heard that he's turned down Besiktas to come to Ibrox. Now, Nima knows about Italian football and knows his stuff, so he will tell us. He is already reporting that it's a 3-year deal for the Swede to come to Rangers. And we'll talk to him round about 7:15 this evening. So if you're a Rangers fan, that's the time where you will hear all about that stuff. Rangers and Celtic in action last night. Obviously, Rangers were in the heat at the Rock. They were out in Gibraltar playing St Joseph's. Celtic were at Sarajevo, and what a horrible night it was for football there. Absolutely chucking down with rain. Pitch started to cut up. Celtic went a goal down, but ended up 3-1 to the good. Your thoughts on it?
Watched the two of them, such a different contrast in both the games. 40 degrees heat out in Gibraltar on a rubber park.
And
with a black strip on.
Whose idea was that? I said that last night. I don't get it.
And you could just tell, obviously listen to the reports and finding out, Bill, about their team, St Joseph's, average age of 29. You could tell for the first 5-10 minutes their game plan. It was just sitting and...
Well, I thought they parked the bus. Absolutely. And Rangers had all the ball. That's a new pitch that's been laid about a month ago, I believe. Yeah. But it played super slow. Apparently they don't water it.
Well,
and in that heat and that humidity, it just gets stuck below your feet. And I don't know why they don't water it, because they had a couple of breaks themselves. Not breaks that looked as if they might come to a hell of a lot, but there are a couple of breaks themselves, and then the ball gets stuck under their striker, their runner's feet. There
was a case where I think maybe in the first half they get a free kick, maybe 25, maybe not as much as 25 yards out. Big McGregor just threw his bonnet on it, just rolled right through him. Now, on the parks, if it's slick and they do water them, you can get a wee you can get a skid off them. It didn't suit them either, but I just thought they were a wee bit... I think it was too big a task. I think the only thing that let everybody doing in Scotland, I think, was Rangers no score in the first half, Bill.
No, wait a minute, come on. Declare your interest now.
Well, I had a wee bet on it, didn't I? So, it's like, Rangers and Celtic to score both halves was the main bet.
Jerry Collins said that as well. He was bealing the
You're looking for a wee bit of value, and I'm not condoning betting at all. I'm just saying that I just thought if Rangers had got that goal the first half, it could have been even
Nothing
more.
Wrong with betting if you bet responsibly.
But I think if they'd got the goal early, it'd have been interesting, because then these teams need to try and come out and get a goal back.
Well, we had a conversation at half-time, Jerry and I said to him, look, my experience of these teams are that if they go a goal down, they then collapse. And that, for me, is what happened with St Joseph's. They went a goal down. Rangers just punished them after that. They knew... and St Joseph's, instead of parking the bus to keep the score respectable, then started to open up a wee bit. And that's when Rangers just picked their pockets, to be honest with you.
I think, they're not even kept it down to a score, but they can go and enjoy the game at Ibrox.
I said it before nothing.
Yeah.
But I did say 4-0 for a reason. I felt that Steven Gerrard and his team had to make a statement, and I think they made it fairly emphatically in the end. They were never under any pressure or any trouble, Ali.
No.
They were complete control. No. It was a competent performance by Rangers at a time of the season where you're still getting up to match fitness, and it looked very much at times like a pre-season game rather than a European tie.
Exactly, because the park doesn't help it, the free-flowing, quick passing. You've got to play the part, Bill. You've got to play that park. And I thought Rangers done it pretty well. Considering they hadn't scored in the first half, but I think they knew You know, when they scored 47 minutes, was it 2 minutes into the second half?
No, it was 50 minutes.
50 minutes. Jack scored the first goal, so...
Yeah, 50 minutes.
As soon as they got that goal, it was only a case of, set pieces. They were set pieces as well. They were starting to cause problems. Yeah. And obviously the two wing backs getting up and down the park. So it was just a matter of time. It was a good finish, a really good finish for Jack. And obviously then the rest of them chipped in, big Golson and that. And Morelos come off the bench, he's got his goal.
Boy Ojo.
Yeah, liked him. Thought he looked
strong, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Do you know what I like about him? It's the fact that he's got a wee bit about him. It's not just, I'm going to run with my head down and do nothing, just power my way through. Mm-hmm. You know, he's good on the ball. He can take players on. He's got that wee bit of skill about him as well. He's highly rated at Liverpool. He's just signed a 5-year contract before coming to Rangers. Mm-hmm. And I was very impressed with him. Impressed with Kamara again, but there was one incident where I thought, you've got to learn your lesson, son. And he played a cross ball that was nearly intercepted, and that was what caught him out when he got to Rugby Park last season. Remember, and he played that ball, and it caught him out. You cannot play those balls on that kind of surface for that kind of distance.
Especially slows the ball down.
It does, it's especially a pitch like that.
But I just
let me just say though, sorry, mate. Let me just say, having said that, I still think he's an excellent. You know,
he's a bargain.
He'll never get a better buy than that boy. I mean, he is a superb player.
That's a guy that we've spoken about at the start of the season, Bill. Where you take chances on boys, you really do. He's brought him in. He's been Dundee's best player. He's put him right into the team because he's seen something there, and he's as if he's played with Rangers all season. So he's taking off. He's keeping his standards up. And he's going to be in the team every week because there's no MD there I think that can replace him. He's that good at the minute. But you're right in what you're saying. He just has to be a wee bit more careful against the better teams because that will get punished, that type of pass. But he breaks up play. He can play a forward pass through the holes as well. Shoot. Yeah, I like having about him. But I must say that the Ojo, he scored that's 2 in 2 games. He's pretty similar goals. He feints on the right, cuts onto his left foot, and he can find the back of the net. Strong as an ox. I think he'll be a good addition.
Bit of a handful in the Premier League.
Yeah, I do, because what I like about him as well is, well, I've seen him breaking for midfield a couple of times now, and he's been getting fouled. He just gets on. He doesn't get down. He stays up, and he's strong enough to keep powering on, which gives the referee a decision, playing the advantage. And once you do that, that team couldn't deal with him when he was in full flow. My boy was saying at the Oxford game as well, it was the same. So, no, he'll be a good addition, and it's what it does now, Bill, for Rangers, is it really fires up competition for places now.
I was going to ask you about the general situation at Rangers now in terms of they've brought 7 players in, 8 if they bring the Swede in over the next day or so. And that's looking particularly likely from the reports I'm getting, and we'll talk about that, as I say, about 7:15 with somebody who is in the know. Let me ask you about how you think Rangers are looking in terms of the squad, in terms of the quality of players. Have they managed to up the quality on last season again? And is it sufficient to make things interesting this season for the league?
I think a big mistake last year, Bill, was the Katic situation for me. I don't think he should have been out the team. You know, I was speaking to Rangers supporters that go every week and watch him.
Here's the thing, though, Mally. Katic may be the one that suffers
if this guy comes in.
That's because he's left-sided.
That's where it was.
And Goldson seems to be a constant. I guess you've got to go with what your strongest team is. Well, I've said that time and time again. Yep. I would hope Katic will get his chance though in the season, even if it's just in the cup games, to kind of develop him further. The boy had a magnificent end to the season. Yeah. He scored his goal yesterday, and for me, you know, I think he deserves his chance.
I think, listening to what some of the guys are telling me, go regular. Even the Oxford game and the other night there, Big Golson looked a wee bit like a camel on roller skates at times the other night there when he came on as a sub against Oxford, and then obviously in the European game now, I don't think the surface suits him anyway, but you're going to be playing in surfaces like in Scotland. Mm-hmm. Katic is more of a, for me and for these guys, is more of a
stopper.
Yeah, but you know what, Bill? He can break forward, and he really can. Compared to Golson, now, I'm not comparing with anybody else, compared to Goldson, he's comfortable at breaking forward and taking the ball. Seeing he sees a space in front of him, 20, 30 yards, he'll take it in there and try and commit someone. I don't see Goldson doing that. So there might be just a wee competition between they two if Rangers get and sign this other boy for big money. So it'll be really interesting. I believe as well, if they are going to make this signing at $4.5 million, there must be guys. Guys getting moved out the door.
What do you make of this? The fact that they're talking about 4.1 million, 4.2 million. I couldn't resist it. I texted Jerry Collins and told him. Do you want to hear his response?
Yeah, on you go.
Right.
Yeah.
What I said was to Jerry, because I couldn't resist it. I just sent him a text message and I said, Rangers buying Swedish centre back, 4.2 million. Aye, right. Where's the money coming from?
Well, they'll need to move somebody out to get the money in, won't they? But I mean, obviously, I don't. Listen, 4.1, 4.5. It's only figures that are getting thrown about and branded about. So we need to find out the real deal. Plus his wages, don't forget. Now the thing is for me, Bill, at Ibrox the new, and there's no getting away from it. And Rangers fans might be asking themselves as well.
Oh, by the way, can I just correct something that I said last night? Edmondson wasn't a free. It was around £650,000 at £700,000. So my apologies to Rangers fans for that. They were very quick to remind me that it wasn't a free anyway, but that was my mistake while I was talking to Jerry last night.
Well, that's another one to come in.
So my apologies.
And he's not getting paid. So the wage bill at Ibrox
what I'm hearing just now, and of course Rangers have brought in a lot of, they've brought in not a lot, but they've brought in a few players on freebies, but I'm hearing they're offering really good contracts to them, which you can do if you're not paying any great fees for them.
Well, that's the Bosman thing, and that's what happens, and that's the being a bonnet to a lot of ex-pros that used to go for money and they didn't get any money. That is true, but the way I see it is that it feeds right down because it happens across all leagues. It's not just restricted to Scotland or anywhere like that. It's not restricted to the Premiership. That's available anywhere. Yeah, and so, all clubs are being penalised by it, but all clubs are benefiting from it. But you've got to remember as well, Bill, when people say, well, it didn't cost much, we got him for £200,000 or whatever, right, a free, right, we just need to look at his contract. If he's on $10,000 a week, you can work that out over a 3-year deal. It's still a lot of money, it's a lot of money. It's going to.
What's your thoughts on Rangers spending that kind of money, though?
I think, listen, I've told you my thoughts on Jones and Stewart and they types of guys, types of players who are kind of like, to want another word, journeyman players, if you like. Although I like Stewart, I think he's got something about him. I think he's really skillful. Jones, when you look at Rangers, he's up the left-hand side. Is he going to be a starter?
Do you know what I looked at last night with Jones, and I've seen it with Kelly as well. The one thing that I don't like, and I don't think Rangers fans will like it particularly, is that for me, he's a big, powerful, strong boy. He goes down too easy.
Well, that was the ghost tackle at Dundee, wasn't it?
But I noticed last night as well, he goes down very easily. He did get clattered a couple of times, but there were a couple of times more where he went down too quickly for me.
Well, I think him and Stewart, I've said to you before in the show, where, going to Ross County midweek or Livingston midweek or whatever, that's the guys you play. Because I think they're better adapted to these games because they know more about the Scottish game than some of the other ones. And I'm not talking about Ojo and that. I mean, he can go in. He looks as if he can go and play anywhere. He'll put himself about and look after himself. Kamara will always protect the ball. But I just think the Scottish boys there, I think that's where they'll earn their money this season. Against the Scottish teams going away to Fir Park and places like that.
Yeah,
where they need to get the points.
You fear a wee bit, don't you, for St Joseph's coming to Ibrox?
Well, it all depends how Rangers go about their business. I mean, they're pretty much.
Well, you've got to think that Arfield will get a run out.
Well, that's where he's got to play. I think he'll play maybe guys that are on the cusp of the team, Bill. I think he'll play their guys, and they'll still be good enough to take 3 and 4 goals off St Joseph. So that's what I think they'll be. But this builds up a wee bit ahead of steam again. This is what it's doing. Obviously, the two big Glasgow teams, as I said to you, different contrast in the weather, for instance. I mean, the Celtic game was
the rain in the first half was unbelievable.
And the park looked immaculate.
But it did
see after 5 minutes.
Yeah,
it was terrible.
It was starting to cut up everywhere,
hitting big bits of the new sign went up the left hand side. goalie, and he get tackled, and he tried to flatten. It was like
the
tank trench. Aye.
Yeah.
He tried to flatten it down, it didn't, and the ball kept hitting it. And honestly, but to go a goal behind over there, not a bad
Well,
sign.
I said that last night because I was watching both games, and I said to Jerry, "This team don't look a bad team. They look a half decent team." I thought they were a bit tactically naive when they went a goal up. They still played the way that they were playing that got them a goal up. Mm-hmm. Now, having said that, there was still a lot left in the game, but they could have made life very difficult in those conditions for Celtic, and I don't think they made them as difficult as they could have been. Having said that, if you're going to come back, and you're going to score a goal, Mikey Johnson's goal.
Well, a lot of people have been pretty critical of him, but seemingly he's battering the gym, he's building himself up.
Absolutely phenomenal strike, really good strike, great goal.
I still don't think he'll be a regular. I think he'll be in and out.
No, I don't, and I did hear at one point there was a rumour going around that he might go out on loan, but that seems to have subsided. But Celtic, they do what Celtic do. They showed a lot of character. To be fair, once Sarajevo went a goal up, Celtic started to overrun them. And Sarajevo looked under threat, but were still dangerous on the break.
Yeah, but I thought Celtic started the game pretty well, and it was a set piece again, Bill. It needs to, something, even when Bayata was in there, something needs to stamp out the mistakes they make from corner kicks and deep free kicks. I don't know if it's a zonal marking, if they're picking up. It was just a guy get his head in, and somebody who was, I think it might have been Scott Brown, was marking the guy that scored, reacted quicker. Get your foot through the ball, your head through the ball, and clear it, and then press out as a team. They lose a lot of goals for these situations.
I don't understand zonal marking.
No.
I just don't.
Strachan had started it.
No, I know. I understand it in terms of how it works and what it means, but I don't understand the point of it.
Yeah.
If you're going man to man, you're going to make it difficult for anybody.
Well, see when you're playing, Bill, teams, Celtic and Rangers are playing at Ibrox or Celtic Park, and the team's got a corner. They don't send up 7 guys, they send up 4. So why are you zonal marking?
Okay.
You can still zonal mark with 3 big centre-backs and get the other guys to pick up in the box. So they still should score a goal. But Sarajevo went ahead, and then obviously you said the goal, but then Celtic started.
A great recovery from Celtic. It really was a very, very competent recovery.
Yeah, absolutely.
From Celtic.
And
that was one of those games that going a goal down could have been a bit of a banana skin in those conditions.
They stuck at it, but the thing for me was the Christie being back in. Christie's energy kept pushing him forward. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. When he got the injury, do you remember the game last year where he played instead of Scott Brown, and they ran amok? Was it against Rangers? Was it?
I can't remember, to be honest with you.
And I thought, see, sometimes, and I think Scott Brown's a great servant, he's a great player, but sometimes he slows it down too much for me. See, when Christie's in there and he gets the ball, everything's quicker, everything goes forward faster. The forwards can make their runs then. It's just a bit pedestrian when Scott Brown gets on it for me. But I'll be interested to see how he's going to work with the midfield in there, because, like Rangers, they've got loads of players, and they're going to have to offload some as well. So,
but with Scott Brown, the way that Scott Brown plays, whereas for me, one of the things Rangers did last season, which was an error in hindsight, was building a style of play around Morelos. Mm-hmm. When Morelos got banned, and especially for the 4 games, I thought Rangers adapted their style of play, and it was a style of play I enjoyed. I thought they were more expansive, I thought they were quicker, I thought they built better, building round Defoe and the way that Defoe plays. Now, you can't knock somebody that scores 30 goals in a season for you, but the bottom line is that Celtic are a wee bit similar with midfield because of Scott Brown and the way he plays. Mm-hmm. They play a certain type of way. And if you're going to involve Scott Brown in the game, you're going to have to continue playing that way. That, for me, could be a bit of a handicap for Celtic.
What was apparent to me last night, Bill, was the fact that when Scott Brown was dropping deep, it was Beaton that was missing him out because he is a midfielder. Yeah. So he was moving forward. Even Ayer was doing it. My neighbour moved because he played a 3-5-1-1. Johnson just off Edwards. So with Forrest and Bongoli wide, they did McGregor, Christine, Brown, and a wee triangle in there. So when Brown was dropping deep and the rest of them were going forward, it was actually Christie that was picking up, and McGregor. It became quicker. So when they centre-backs who, well, Ayer was kind of out the right-hand side, they were giving the ball in there, they were moving quicker and leaving Scott Brown. So what Scott Brown just done was just, when they went forward, just sat in the centre-back position. So that's a wee triangle in there that they're making at the moment where it could really work, because there's no doubt about it, when they give it to McGregor and Christie, they can go and commit guys, and they're lightning and quick as well, Bill, you know. And then Edward makes his runs off of that. So it was interesting to see. It was really interesting to see, because Neil Lennon went straight over to Ayer after the game, and he was the first person he went to, because he obviously said to him, listen, I don't want you to play right back, I want you to play right in this kind of wee triangle we've got in there.
Yeah.
But then you've got the Julian coming in, you've got other people who can fit into that area as well. So the competition, it's going to be interesting. What players throw the rattle at the pram when they're not getting a game, and it's how the two managers handle these guys.
Well, let me ask you a question, because Jerry said last night, and I'd like your view on this, Jerry said last night he was disappointed because we'd made such a big thing about the league potentially being won during the closed season, or during the time where the window's open, and who brings in the best players, or does the best business. I'm just asking this for your reaction to what Jerry said, and that is that he was disappointed with both teams' recruitment so far.
Was that down to, well, Celtic have been out, Rangers are supposed to be going out and spending 4.1 million, a lot of money. Celtic have been out and spent 7 odd million on a centre back. Are they marquee signings? Well, they are for that amount of money, but are they going to win you games? You know, I don't know. Supporters like to see guys coming in at 7-8 million. The goal scorers, Bill.
Yeah.
There's somebody who's going to create something in the last third. As regards to Jerry, maybe I think I would agree with him to a certain extent, where the fans haven't actually went, my goodness, what a signing that is. You know, so listen, the proof's in the pudding. These guys might come and play at the back, and you know, the guy just might be the same as Big Boyata. What I've seen of the other boy coming to Rangers, Bill, is he looks a wee bit like Ayer. Same build, likes to take the ball forward, loves clipping the ball into the channels, and you know, he uses his height and his long legs to get the last ditch tackle, and I've seen him making a few of them. So, well, you know, I'm not going to argue with Jerry, because Jerry knows his football, but I mean, at the same time...
Well, no, I'm asking for your opinion. You know, if you think that they've done reasonable business...
I think there still has to be another couple of signings there to kind of...
On both sides?
Yes, to make the fans get really excited. I don't think there's anything really...
I think Rangers fans will be excited by the Helander thing, purely because of the money that's been paid for him. But let me just say that Rangers, until this signing, I'd been told we're looking for 3 players. They were looking for another centre-back, another left-back, and another striker. So if Helander comes in, and it's looking increasingly likely, then Rangers are down to 2 signings that they've still got to get. Jerry made a point last night.
Celtic need a right-back, 100%.
Jerry made that point last night and was very, very vocal about it. How
can you not get a right-back?
But one of the things he said as well is, why are they not capturing the people that they're identifying? He said, you know, Rangers are bringing people in that are their targets and they're identifying them, albeit that they're either on loan or they're on freeze or they're being paid for at a lower level, except for the boy Helander. But he then made the point that Celtic have got money to spend and they're offering money, but players are not coming. They're choosing to go to other clubs.
That's just Scottish football now, isn't it? I know there's the carrot of European football.
But Rangers play in Scotland. I mean, you're just telling me that it's at the higher level, the big money or the bigger money, that players don't want to come and play for Celtic.
I don't know, Bill. Maybe Rangers are offering decent wages for some of these guys at the championship level. And
you think Celtic wouldn't be?
No. I do, but you know, they're maybe targeting people that can think if they're going to Celtic, they can go higher. You like see a Crystal Palace, are these teams, Southamptons, where they're going to double their wages again? If Celtic can offer 25, 30 grand a week, they're getting 50, 60, 70 down there, aren't they? So maybe they think they can reach that type of team if Celtic are interested in them. Strange. But what I will say is what's the story where I seen me Morelos coming on last night, looked as if he looked a wee bit beefy,
chunky. I thought that last night.
I did, but maybe it was just that goal.
No, but the only thing I would say is that as someone who is more chunky than not, black usually is something that makes you look less chunky.
He scored his goal, but it's the whole... I think the Rangers fans also want to find out this season, at the start of the season, what the situation was, whether he's going to be there, if Steven Gerrard's looking for a striker.
But that's not something that Rangers have control over. Steven Gerrard made that very clear the other day.
Why did they play Greg Stewart through the middle against Oxford on Sunday?
Because Morelos had a groin strain.
Right, but he was all right to come on last night.
Well, no, he still had it, but, apparently he still had it.
I've seen the tape.
But he brought him in. But here's the thing that I would say. You see, if you've got a player that's in any doubt because of a groin strain, you don't play him on a synthetic surface.
I agree with you. But I've seen the tape on the inside of his leg, obviously. But he's got his goal. But I'm just interested to see how that's going to palm out that one, because... I think Defoe's been excellent towards the end of the season.
The things flying around again. The things flying around again about the Crystal Palace thing. Now, Steven Gerrard has categorically said no one has made an offer for Alfredo Morelos. So, I don't know. He's also said that if they come in last minute, then they can forget it. He won't be going anywhere. I heard again today, and I spoke to somebody down south that I know who works in the newspapers down there, that I'd seen something saying that Palace were going to make a formal bid, and he said at that time he hadn't heard anything about a formal bid, but, it's possible.
Just a wee, I was looking at the two players who I think, could command a lot of money. Well, Morelos, obviously, on his form, but he needs to be back playing and scoring goals. But how they'll react. Sinclair at Celtic come on and scored a great goal last night, but looked as if he was in the cream puff when he come on, because Lennon's not played a lot of him.
Yeah.
So where does he think his season's going to go, and where does Morelos think his season's going to go? That's going to be an interesting one.
It's an interesting one. I'm only to see how it all pans out. But I know Rangers are looking for another striker. I know they've identified a couple of people. I don't know who they are, but I know they've identified a couple of people. It does change everything. And if there is now some kind of formal approach from Palace for Morelos, and it could be funding other things like the central defender, I've got to be honest, I am surprised that the amount of money that Rangers have been touted as paying for this guy. £4 million quid's a lot of money for Rangers.
When you look at £4 million quid and the transfer fee, then you obviously put his wages into it. But when you look at the wage bill and the minute bill, the wage bill and the minute bill, when you look at the wage
there's a lot of bills in there to be paid.
Absolutely, there is a lot of bills. So, they need to get... The Celtic are the same. They need to get rid of guys that are on the books that are just taking their wages, and there's maybe 3 or 4 or 5 that they need to move on.
Okay. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll speak to our first guest of the night who may be lining up against Killie in the Europa League. That's next on Talking Football.
UEFA Euro 2020 will be the biggest ever football event to come to Glasgow. Millions will watch. Some will actually be there. Make sure you're one of them. Ticket applications are now open for matches at Hampden Park, but only until July 12th. Live it for real. Apply now at Euro2020.com.
Goodwin Barrett helped William win £21,400 from the Halifax for his missold investment. If the Halifax or any other bank sold you an investment that lost money, start your quick assessment to discover how much you could be owed. Text GOOD to 66777. Text GOOD to 66777 now.
You've probably heard the lines before. Have you been involved in an accident? Were you the passenger? Here's something you might not have heard. G4 Claims can help you with your not-at-fault claim for free. They supply a like-for-like replacement vehicle. They can set up your injury claim and don't take a percentage. All your compensation comes to you. G4 Claims services are free, with charges going to the at-fault insurer. Not-at-fault claims, on your side. Call us on 01698 767172.
Looking to sell your house fast for cash? Freedom Property Buyers offer a free no-obligation offer within just 24 hours, allowing you to move on. Whether you're in financial difficulty, facing repossession, looking to sell an inherited property, emigrating, or are simply in need of a quick sale, we can help you get there in 3 easy steps. Call 0141 258 6963 or visit freedompropertybuyers.co.uk. Freedom Property Buyers. Consider it sold.
Love music. Live sport. Talking Football with Bill Young and Ali Graham on Rock Sport Radio.
OK, let's speak to our first guest tonight. We've already looked at Rangers and Celtic, who are safely negotiated through their first legs of their qualifiers in the Europa League. Killie are playing tomorrow night, and they'll be playing against Connah's Quay Nomads, a team that are well known to us here in Scotland because they were in the final of the Anbrew Cup last season against Ross County. Gave a good account of themselves, but seemed to kind of run out of steam a wee bit as the game went on, and that for me was their downfall more than anything. We're going to talk to one of the strikers, that's Jamie Insall, who's no stranger to Scottish football himself. Jamie, thanks first of all for talking to us on the programme tonight. Do you expect to start tomorrow?
I'm not too sure yet. Even if I did know, I definitely can't be telling you. But either way, whatever the gaffer goes with, I'm ready if I'm called on.
You wouldn't be telling us, even if you knew.
No, it's in case we contact Kelly and tell the Italian contingent down there, innit? Am I right, Jamie, saying that?
Yeah, something to do with that. We had a bit of that with the Leeds manager as well, so...
Oh, that's a bit unkind.
That's why they named their team, Bill, half an hour before the kick-off.
I know that. But you see, if you make it your first question, people are caught off guard and they go, of course I am.
I'm playing, Well, listen...
that wee stinker decided not to tell us, though.
Well, what happens this day and age, there used to be a time, Jamie, years ago, where what would happen was when you were playing well in pre-season and you were buzzing, you would walk in and just put your jacket up on your peg, because you knew you were playing, but managers like to kind of change it a bit now, Bill, you know.
Jamie, let's go.
Well, I hope. Go on, sorry, Corin. Sorry.
No, fire away. Go on. You hope what?
I was going to say in a couple of weeks' time, I hope to be doing that. Turning up and just putting my jersey on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Killie have had a couple of great seasons, but of course there has been change there. And I think there's been a wee bit of a war of words, not specifically with Kilmarnock, but with your manager and various people who have made various assertions about Connah's Quay. I remember I watched the Irn-Bru Cup final. I thought you gave a very good account of yourself for about 55 minutes and then seemed to kind of run out of fuel a wee bit. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think the boys are really still gutted about that result. Obviously, when you go in at 1-0 and it should be arguably 3 or 4 goals and the game should have basically been to bed already. So I think it was a match of missed chances, to be honest, and obviously second half, Ross County went on and showed their quality and deserved it in the end.
Just looking ahead to this one, obviously, you know, it's a difficult game. You've got the first leg at home, and a lot of people say they rather have the second leg at home. How are you feeling about it as a team?
I think we're pretty chill, to be honest. Yeah, it's a Europa League game, but we're setting up for this game as we would do any other game. Obviously, being Europa League, there's more pressure on it, but for us, we're still having a laugh, joking, but taking it serious when we need to. So it's just another game for us with a bit of hope.
You've got a wee bit of experience up here, Jamie, so you're the kind of mole in the camp. Has the manager been asking you about the kind of Scottish teams in the standard?
Well, the manager's Scottish.
Aye, but he's
not him on.
No, but he's not up here. He's been up here playing.
All right, okay.
He's been up here playing.
To be honest, the gaffer knows his stuff. If they ever needed any information, I'm here to help out. But the gaffer's pretty professional, whether we play in a Scottish team or we was going abroad or whatnot. He does his research and he knows how to go around his business.
Has he made any reference to the fact that Kilmarnock obviously are in a period of transition and change, which none of us even up here know what that's going to bring? I mean, Steve Clark's had a phenomenal couple of seasons, as you well know, but things have all changed at Killie now. New managers like to come in and put their mark on a team, and we're all kind of wondering what that mark is going to look like because, you know, there's the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, I think the gaffer's just highlighting a well-known fact that everyone knows, really. Can they top what they did last season is going to be a big ask when you've got the big two with Rangers and Celtic there. Arguably, that's probably their best season they've had in a very, very long time, and to do that again is going to be some stoop. But, yeah, I think it's the best time to play them. I think with a new manager coming in, he's going to have a different philosophy, and it's going to take time for them to gel. So, yeah, whether it's home or away, I think we're playing them at the perfect point.
How's the preparation been going? Has it been, your pre-season games? How have you been looking in them, and who have you played?
Yeah, we've travelled to Ireland. We played against an Aberdeen side which was quite strong, which was a test. But we put a good account of ourselves. It was 0-0. We didn't look out of place, and it's going to be something similar against Kilmarnock as well. So it was a good setup for this game.
That's what I'm going to say as well, because Kilmarnock haven't been involved in European football for a long time, but yous have been kind of in and out of it for a few years. Am I right in saying that, Jamie?
Yeah, obviously I joined near the end of last year, and coming to this club with the stature of the Europa League most seasons, it's something that appealed to me massively. But they've been there; they know what they're expecting. So for me, it's new, but it's a good new. But Connah's Quay, yeah, they know what they're going for. They know what their goals are, and to be honest, I really think we could maybe cause an upset. Who knows?
I'm just thinking, it's a big ask for any team, the Europa League. But, and I don't mean this in a bad way, you're kind of playing at a level week in, week out, which must make it a bit of a test for you, generally, just in terms of, people will say the same thing about players. If they play with players of a certain quality, it raises their game. If they play in a league of a certain quality, it raises their game. What's the expectation level at Connah's Quay when you start on a European adventure like this, realistically?
Yeah, I think facts are facts. Every team they've played, they put a good account of themselves. Now, last year they played against, I think it was 3 Scottish teams last year, and was triumphant against all of them. So I think always expect the unexpected, really. I think football is a funny game and anything can happen. And I think Connah's Quay's proved that in the Iron Brew Cup, and has proved that in the European games in the last few years.
It's saying you're sold out as well, Jamie. What kind of crowds do you get down there on a European night, or what's it like for league games?
For European, obviously, this being my first season, I'm not too sure, but being a sellout, I think there'll be a few thousand there. Obviously, Killy will be bringing 800-900 down, and people around the Welsh area will be coming to support Connah's Quay.
What about your time in Scotland? I mean, where did it figure in your career, and was it a happy time? Was it a time where, you kind of felt that you were going to develop and maybe stay in Scotland for a longer time than you did?
Yeah, I believe Alan Stubbs brought me in. He obviously saw potential there. But when I signed, I was obviously still unfit. Obviously, only playing non-league. It's a big step to go into professional football. So I went out on loan at East Fife. At the end of the season, I had a chat with Alan Stubbs, and I was going to be fighting to get in the side. But then, obviously, he went to Rotherham. And then Neil Lennon come in and brought in Grant Holt, Stokesy, and then, obviously, I went down the pecking order. But that's football. Your face has got to fit sometimes. But I took it on the chin, went back out on loan, and ended up getting good 15, 16 goals under my belt in League 1 and League 2 up in Scotland, 3 Fife. That's
what I was going to ask, Bill, because Lee Hodgson's come out today or yesterday and said that League One's just as good as the Scottish Premiership. So Jamie's obviously played up here, and I don't want to kind of put him on the spot, but I'm going to put him on the spot. So what do you look at? What styles of football? I know the Championship. You know the Championship, Jamie. It's kind of, for me, the English Championship. That is, it's a bit like a powerful league, back to front kind of football. Because there's a lot at stake. But do you think Lee's correct in saying that the Scottish Premiership's as low as League One in England?
I think there's a gulf between maybe the top 4 in the Scottish Prem to everyone else. Obviously, I'm a bit biased. My time at Hibs takes Celtic and Rangers out the occasion. I think they were probably one of the best teams there. They went on to win the Scottish Cup and obviously beat Rangers in the final as well. Which obviously had John McGinn, Jason Cummins all getting good moves. So I'd say the top 3 or 4 teams in the Prem could arguably fight bottom end of the Championship, I would say. But from everyone else, I would say from its league, bottom of League 1, lower.
Jamie, where are you living these days?
I'm living in Chester at the moment with a few of the Connah's Quay lads.
Right, so that's not that far from Connah's Quay. It's an area that I know. Connah's Quay used to, many moons ago, I don't know if they still do, have a really good Saturday market. And the reason I know is I had family that lived in Broughton included.
Okay.
So it's an area that I know particularly. But I just wondered, I mean, you're living with the lads. What about your home life in terms of where your family are based? And is it something that you've had to kind of, to move forward and go to Connah's Quay, have you had to kind of make any kind of upheaval and adjustments?
Yeah. When I first moved to Scotland, I left my son at home with his mother, and obviously my family was living in Worcester, which I'm based near Birmingham. So that was a good 6 hours away. So this one now was 2 hours away, really. So it's only in touching distance. So it's not been a massive move. I think the only thing I struggle with a lot is my son now. I'm seeing him every other weekend, apart from having him 3 times a week. But everything I'm doing at the minute is to make sure my son has a better life in the long run, so I know I'm doing the good.
Okay, 27 now. Let me ask you exactly where you see your future going. I mean, are you in a long-term contract with Connah's Quay, or have you still got aspirations to move back into, the English League, or even back up to Scotland potentially?
I think in the back of my head, I always feel like I've got some kind of point to prove in Scotland in the higher leagues. But at the minute, Connah's Quay gave me a route back into football, and I owe them everything at the minute. So till the end of the season, I'm a Connah's Quay player, then we'll talk after that. But I'm very happy here at the minute, and just see where it takes me, really.
And sorry, go on, Alan.
No, I was just going to say, is that something that the club do then, because you're playing down there, Jamie? Did they put you up somewhere? Have they got a house that they own, or do they put you up with people up in a hotel?
I'm from the Birmingham way, like I said, and we've got Priestley, a lad who's from London, and Lewis from Newcastle. So there's 3 of us in a house at the minute. But the club put us up accommodation, and they help us out, obviously living arrangements, etc.
See, I should imagine as well, Bill, with the guys that are playing with Jamie, that are staying, they've got aspirations to go higher again and maybe break back into the English League. They're just...
Well, look, how many times have we said this? And I'm sure Jamie will understand and has probably thought of this himself. Mm-hmm. He's not daft, and a lot of footballers get to a point of realisation where sometimes you just have to take a step back to go forward again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. I was playing academy football for the likes of Birmingham City, Wolves at the age of 15, and once getting released, I had to go down the non-league routes. And it took me till I was 22, 23, scoring 40 goals a season in non-league football to get a chance with Hibs. And obviously I went up with Hibs and done really well up there and got me a chance. But I think there's so many people in non-league football that can make the step. There's so many gems out there. It's just you need to find them.
Now, obviously there was a period in your career which was pretty much a nightmare and fairly troublesome, and we won't talk about it in depth. But what I did want to ask you about is, because of that period, you became a bare-knuckled boxer.
Well, I wouldn't say I became one. I participated, yeah. How did that come about? Well, obviously because of my ban from UCAD, it was banned from all sports. Now, bare-knuckle boxing come legal once my ban, once I was going through my ban, sorry. And UCAD wasn't part of the bare-knuckle boxing committee, so that was probably the only sport I can compete in. So me being the competitor I am, and fancied my chances, so I applied for it, and I got on one of the shows.
It's a bloody hard way to make a living, son. I've got to be honest with you.
So obviously, I mean, what about your good looks? I mean, they must have come into question.
Well, the assistant manager, Craig Harrison, just messaged me, to be fair, and said I've got a face for the radio.
Did you win, by the way?
No, I got my nose broke.
Oh, my God. Was that your one and only fight?
Yeah, it was, because the shows are like every 4 or 5 months. And once I'd done the first show, I was going to do the next show, but I was up here training with Connah's Quay, and as soon as I had my contract signed, we're not allowed to kind of participate in other sports. So
especially ones that get you... Especially the ones that get you bust noses and other things.
Well, see, like so the bare knuckle boxer or bare knuckle fighting comes into the same category as rugby for me now, Bill. No, for me.
Rugby?
Oh, you can't put your head in the would you call it? The thing you put, you get punched.
Oh, I'd rather play rugby than bare knuckle fight any time.
No, but you can get serious cauliflower ears.
There's no
You know what I mean,
comparison
Jamie?
between bare knuckle
People
fighting
grabbing your
and-
ears and putting their fingers up your nose as if you're a bowling ball.
So you seem to know a lot about this. Are you sure this is not a party you went to once?
Well, it might have been that Twister I was playing.
Jamie, going back to your football career now and looking at the Welsh Premier League, give us an idea, comparing it to your experience of Scotland, what the level would be in terms of, if you had to compare it to a Scottish league, what would it be?
I'm not too sure, because obviously I've only played a couple of games to the end of last season, but if you're comparing the top teams to the teams down there, like I said, Connors Keys beat everyone they played against apart from Ross County, which Ross County was arguably a Premiership outfit at the time they played them anyway.
Yeah.
So I believe if Connors Keys turned into a Scottish side, and they would be well in their depth up there at any level up until the Championship, I'd say.
And are Connors Key back in the Iron Brew Cup this season, do you know, or have you left in a huff?
No. We're in it this year. I was expecting a few visits up there, to be honest. I was looking forward to it being in the Iron Brew Cup, but I wasn't expecting it to be in Europe, to be honest.
Well, we're a wee bit in the dark as well, Jamie, you know, because we don't really know. The new management team have come into Kilmarnock as well. Although there's some players that are still there, Bill, we don't know the style of player they're going to do. And I know for a fact that he's looking across at Italy to bring some players in and loan as well, Jamie. So we're just as intrigued as...
Well, he's already brought a goalie in, hasn't he, to replace Bachmann?
Yeah. So we're kind of in the dark as well, what kind of style they're going to play and what they're going to be like under the new manager.
How difficult does it make it for you guys to prepare against a team where there's been so much change, or not so much change, but change that's significant enough to really not give you much idea of what you might be up against? Because it's fair to say it's unlikely to be a Steve Clark style team.
Yeah. I think, like I said, the gaffer's got his plans, and what he is he watches the game for the first 10-15 minutes, and if he needs to change things, he changes things, which is, I think, is a good quality in a manager. But we've played against Aberdeen this year. Yeah, it weren't a competitive game. It was a friendly. But for me, Kilmarnock won't be as good as an outfit of Aberdeen is. This year they've been quite lucky in my eyes to come third. Every other season they're normally the 6th, 7th side team, so they've had a good season. But whatever they throw at us, I'm sure we'll deal with it the best we can.
Well, he's saying all the right words, isn't he, bobbing up his manager and all that there. He's definitely going to get a start against Kilmarnock tomorrow night, I think. What do you think, Bill?
I don't know, because the managers
After contract extension.
I don't know. The manager's already been on saying about he's got a good face for radio. Maybe he's dropping hints there. Maybe he's saying, like, son, it's time for you to get into broadcasting rather than football.
Absolutely.
It's going to be an interesting one. I guess you're going to want to try and have some kind of lead, or at least not have a deficit moving up to Rugby Park.
Yeah. I think what I've been seeing on forums and things that's on the internet, you see we're going to get smashed 4-0, we're going to get beat 5-0 up there, and it's quite laughable of what people think. But for us, we're quite confident of getting a result at home, whether that's a 0-0 or 1-0 or 2-0, and going up there and doing a job up there as well. We haven't come into the Europa League to sit back and hope we don't get beat. We're coming to get a result and trying to get through to the next round.
And do you guys play on a 4G pitch week in, week out? Is that something that you play on, and therefore going to Rugby Park might not be too much of a stretch for you?
Well, we've got a grass pitch, so most of the teams in the Welsh League, Astros, Blas is a grass pitch, so that for us is we play Astros quite a bit through the Welsh League, but ours is a grass pitch.
Right, okay. So it may well be that this early on in the season that could be an influence on the game at Rugby Park potentially.
It could be, but the park will be a bowling green, I should imagine, Jamie. So I think.
What, Rugby Park?
No, their park.
I'm talking about Rugby Park.
But they've got the new one done. They put a new one done as well.
Yeah, I know, but so did the St Joseph's at Gibraltar. That's only been down a month.
Tell them, Jamie, it was 40 degrees in Gibraltar. It's 13 degrees in Scotland, and it gets watered. So it'll be playing the exact same. Can't be any worse than the one they used to have, Bill, I'll tell you.
There's satellite delay between me and him. He's catching up at the minute, so make allowances for him. Well, listen, look, good luck against Kelly on Thursday, and we'll watch with great interest to see what the result is and see how Connaskey fare. I got to say, last season I thought you were pretty well supported on your travels up north, because that's a hell of a trek for you. Are you expecting a decent turnout from Connaskey fans to go to Kilmarnock?
Yeah, I think it's not just Connaskey fans. I think one good thing about the Welsh Prem is there's rivalries left, right and centre, but when it comes to European football, we kind of all get behind each other, which is very unheard of, really, in different leagues. But yeah, I expect there to be a lot of Welsh fans out there coming to support us tomorrow anyway.
Well, the good thing is, Jamie, it's a wee bit easier to get to than Dingwall, so you'll be all right.
Siberia's easier to get to than Dingwall. Jamie, thanks very much, mate. Thanks for coming on, talking to us, and good luck to Connaskey Nomads tomorrow night against Kilmarnock.
Thanks, Jamie. All the best.
Yep. Thanks for having me on. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. There we go. Jamie Insall, who's striker playing for Connaskey Nomads, who line up against Killy tomorrow. What's your thoughts?
Quite interested to watch that one, actually. I'm out tomorrow night, but I'm maybe try and get a hold of it on one of these. It's trying to get a hold of them on. Well, you can't get them on any stations unless you try and get them on the internet with some, getting.
Is it not on Premier or anything?
I don't think so, no.
The other ones have been on there.
Where I seen a wee clip on their home site, and it was telling you where you can view it, and I think it's actually on their Facebook.
All right, okay.
They're doing something like that. So,
right.
No, I just think these guys.
It's one of these ones where I'm not going to be too committed in terms of what the score or what will happen, purely because I have no clue.
No.
How Kelly are going to play.
No, and I've no clue how Connas are, because these young guys are hungry. They're going down there to try and get on the ladder again, as you say. So they'll be right up for it. And it's at the start of the season as well, Bill. Anything can happen at the start of the season in these games. Anything can happen.
Oh, you can watch the game for free, I've just been told by Ewan, on a Welsh TV channel's Facebook page. So I'm imagining that is probably S4C.
Yes.
Where the Facebook page is. It'll be S4C, I would think.
That rings a bell.
That'll be the channel that you can watch it on if you want to have a look at it.
S4C.
Yeah.
Click online. S4C.
Right. Okay. So
it's a 7 p.m. kickoff.
7?
A bit early, yes.
Do you know, I don't understand. I thought they'd unify.
It's an hour. Wales is an hour.
I thought I thought they were unifying all these things.
They're all different times. I mean, the Rangers game was, 5 to 5 or something, and the Celtic game wasn't even 7:45, wasn't it? No, it was a different time. So I don't know.
The Celtic's game was quarter to
7, was it?
But hang on, no, it was 7:45.
Sure.
No, it was 7:45.
Yeah.
And the Rangers game was 5 to 5.
5 to 5.
I thought they were all being either 5 to 5 or 8:05 in Europe. I know that's with Champions League, but I thought they uniformed it for them all.
No, so different. It's gone bonkers. Listen, we've spoke about it before on here. They're just making all the different times to make it an inconvenience for everybody to try and watch them.
I don't get it. It's all a bit up in the air, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, while we're talking about it, let's talk about the other teams in action. You were telling me who's playing who, because I can't remember.
You want me to pronounce them?
Well, because I can't.
I'll do my best.
So you go for it.
Well,
You've got them.
We've got Hibs away to Shakhtar Sorogorsk.
Sorogorsk.
Yes.
Where are they from?
I've not got a clue. You've not done the aspect of that.
And where's Shakhtar Gorigorsk? He'll tell us. Keep going. Aberdeen, who are they
Aberdeen
playing?
are at home to Rovaniemi, and I'm only thinking they're for Finland because Antiniemi was for Finland, and it sounds the same.
Belarus is the Shakhtar.
I thought that.
Did you?
No.
Where's the Aberdeen team from? What are they called again?
Rovaniemi.
Rovaniemi.
Spelled the same way. Niemi.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll go with your
Finland.
Your thinking about Finland.
Lapland.
I just hope it's not too badly. They actually do play in Lapland.
Honestly. Brilliant, isn't it?
Well, but you should have known that. 'Cause
Rops.
you
I just
played in
recognised.
Finland.
Well, I just recognised the Rops thing. There was a few of them, and I've not got a clue what Rops means. It might be United. I don't know, but
United Rovaniemi.
yeah. So there's a lot of them. With that
Well,
kind of name in there.
listen, that was a fairly good bit of deduction for you.
Yeah.
So
It's good.
you know,
I'm good at the
that
chase.
was all
The
right.
chase, I'm not bad.
And what's your thoughts? I mean, I don't know anything about either of those teams, but I mean, look, you know about Finnish teams.
Tricky. Well, the Finnish. A wee bit different out there. There's that many leagues as well, Bill. There's that, you know.
Yeah, but if you're in the Europa League, surely you've got to have been in the top league and come, you know, second or third or whatever. I don't know many places they
What
get.
you find over there is there'll be a lot of Brazilians playing, you know, and a lot of Turkish guys, all kind of.
Really?
Yeah. About that area.
Oh, I didn't know that.
When I was there was a lot of them.
I would have thought it was
I
more
presume it's still
kind
the
of
same.
Russians and people like that because of their proximity to Russia.
You do get them as well, but you get the Turkish and Turkish players.
Is there much money in Finnish football?
There can be, depending how corrupt the chairman is, I suppose. But no, I just think that again, these guys go to these countries to keep playing because of the. Don't forget as well, it's a different time. You're playing at a different time.
Yeah, but the other thing that you've got is you've got players going from those countries where you've got to expect that they're not the top players, obviously,
no, they're
from
not.
Turkey or
no,
from
they're
Brazil.
Not. No, they're not. No, absolutely.
So what
not.
standard would they be
Absolutely
at if you
not.
had to kind of label them?
Lower Championship in Scotland, I would say.
Right, okay.
So they'll be half decent. But what the Finnish players
But
can
you would
do-
expect Aberdeen. You would expect Aberdeen to see off lower Championship players in Scotland.
Yeah.
If that's what they're up against in Finland,
I can
you'd
see
expect
Aberdeen. I
that.
can see Aberdeen going through there. I don't know anything about the other team.
It'd be great if they all, if everybody get through
It'd be fantastic.
all five teams.
We need all the Scottish teams through because we need people to start talking about us again, and you know, having us all going through to the next round would be fantastic for the nation, really more than anything, because the coefficient thing comes into it as well, doesn't it, Bill? So
Belarus will be another country
Well,
that are chucking money at football. I
yeah,
would think.
but I don't know anything
a lot
about them, and I don't know if.
Hang on, you don't think what Hibs? What is that? So is that thing a friendly Hibs thing? Because we only get 4 places, don't we? We only get 4 places. If Hibs are in it, that's 5. So that must be a friendly. You're reading me.
Am I?
Yeah.
You sure?
Well, Aberdeen, Kelly, Celtic, Rangers.
No, we've got 5, haven't we? We got an extra one in this year, didn't we? Absolutely did. Hibs are in it.
How can they be in it?
I'm just telling you, they're in it.
No, I don't think they are.
You need to do your stuff right. And I also tell you what you said. Tell the listeners what you
can't
said.
be because they're playing Stirling Albion on Saturday.
Europa League. Here we go.
I'm sure Hibs are not in it. And if you're in the Europa League, you don't go into the Betfred. So, because when you said it earlier on, I thought Hibs. I'm sure Hibs are not in it.
Well,
no, they're not.
I'm just reading the BBC site and their names there.
Yeah, is that for this year or is that another year?
What was it you said earlier on?
About what?
Busy as a what?
A what?
I'm as busy as a
chimney.
A chimney. Right.
Hibs are not in it. There you go. The Hibs are not in it.
So where am I getting that for?
I don't know. I think you're making things up. But Hibs are not in it. I thought that when you were saying it earlier on when we were off air. And I thought, well, I couldn't remember who Aberdeen were playing, so maybe I'd forgotten that Hibs weren't in it. But Hibs are not in it.
They must have a friend list.
It's Rangers, Celtic, Celtic in Champions League, but Rangers, Aberdeen and Kelly in the Europa League. No, Hibs are definitely not in it.
Right, okay then. Do you know how? Do you know how I'm saying that? Is that?
You're looking at 1973?
No, it's the Maltese mob, Hibs, isn't it? Hibernians.
Oh, it's that Hibs.
Yeah.
Right.
The ones we like. They're away to them.
Right. I've played against them.
Have you?
Yeah.
We're in Maltese?
Yeah. When I played for Sliema Wanderers. Well, they were at that time. They won most things at that time. They were...
So who's the best teams out there?
Well, it depends. It's changed now. One of the best teams now would be Birkirkara. They seem to win most things, and another one was Hamroon Spartans were another one. The team that I'd played for, Sliema Wanderers, had gone out of fashion a wee bit and really hadn't been doing that well. And there was another team called Floriana who were
I've heard of them.
were quite a good team.
They've played against some of the big teams, haven't they?
Yeah, Birkirkara seem to be the big team at the minute. They seem, and it's the biggest town, it's the biggest place in Malta as a town, although it's difficult to know because a lot of places run in from one to the other. But, you know, by definition, Birkirkara is the biggest town or city.
There's another thing as well, Bill. See, when you look at the Europa League now, I mean, you're going through, it used to be there was maybe 16 games.
So Hibs are in it, but not our Hibs.
Not our Hibs.
No.
There's about 40, 50 games in there now, with all these different teams. And Inter Turku as well for Finland.
And it's going to get bigger.
Crusaders are in there, Torshavn. I mean, just teams that are, you know, and you're talking about the coefficient where you're saying the other night there where Gibraltar teams in or something like that are into these competitions.
Four teams. One in the Champions League and 3 in the Europa League.
Well, it would be interesting to have a look at the so-called smaller countries and look.
I mean, how can that happen? Gibraltar have only just been affiliated to what do you call them, a jiggery? What do you call UEFA for about I don't know, 6 seasons.
See, when you look at the fixtures, it'd be interesting to find out where most of the teams come from and how many they're getting compared to Scotland. It would be. I
just don't see how Gibraltar gets the same as us. That makes no sense. They've got a population of just over 38,000 in Gibraltar.
There's a team in there called Europa, and they're playing Legia Warsaw.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where are they from?
Don't ask me. I'm just
Europa FC. I'll look that up later on.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to our second guest tonight, chairman of Alloa Football Club, who are in the Championship this season and had a great season last season. Recently just lost Jim Goodwin to St Mirren, but appointed Peter Grant. Mike Mulraney's with us. Mike, am I right in saying, and congratulations if I am, that you are now Vice President of the SFA as well?
Yeah, for my sins, I've got 2 roles at the moment, but obviously my main one today is the one I'm proud to hold, which is the chairman of Alloa.
Right, let me ask you a question, and it's an easy question. I'll start with that. Peter Grant, appointed because he's well established, less likely to leave you. Is that true?
No, I hope Peter's as sought after as all my other managers.
What is it with Alloa, Mike, that you pick these managers and everybody wants them after a season or 2 seasons? I mean, Alloa has become a real breeding ground for managers these days.
Yeah, I think it says a lot about everyone else at the club. You know, there's a great backroom team. There's a great support network. And, you know, I think I'm lucky to be the chairman of a club where everyone seems to pull together and it allows the managers to do their job. So, you know, it's obviously down to the managers being good at their job, but getting the support of the back room and all the people behind the scenes. And I think it's hugely down to that they seem to be being successful.
I take it you weren't overly surprised, bearing in mind Jim had been approached by St Mirren previously, but, you know, we spoke to him and he said he felt Alloa was the right club for him last season simply because he had a lot to learn and he felt he would learn better at Alloa. I'm assuming you weren't overly surprised when St Mirren came sniffing round again when Oran Kearney left the club.
No, Jim's had a few offers, everyone knows. You know, and he took his time, as did Jack before him. And, you know, good managers are sought after. Jim's a very, very good manager, and it was no surprise at all when St Mirren gave me a little asked if he could speak to him.
Mike, Ali Graham here, how you doing? I'm just going to ask you, I was going to ask you the fact that what's the next best thing then? You know, Bill's talking about the managers who come and go. You know, is it finding that wee Jamie, a player that gets you 200, 300, 400 grand where you can come through the academy and get him transferred for you? Yeah.
I mean, that's obviously the ideal goal, but the other great thing at Alloa is the amount of loan players that have came and developed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and young players that have came up and developed. You're watching Scotland with Scott Bain, who resurrected, you know, having been released, came to Alloa and created a career for himself. You know, Liam Lindsay recently got his big move down in England. Scott McKenna, you know, Stevie May, Jake Hasty. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of players who've came to Alloa over the last few years. Dario done very well last season. Dario Zanata, you know, so there's Yeah, we want to breed our own. We've recently, looked at signing one or two out of our own youth system this season. Jim restructured that. And, it brings us a bit of pride as well when we look at all these boys who are starting for Scotland and playing for Scotland that got their senior outing with an Alloa shirt on. Be they Hearts, Motherwell, players or whatever. But it's good that they're getting a chance at Alloa as loan players.
But I think also as well, Mike, even the experienced players that you've brought in over the past few seasons have been of a high calibre, where maybe 15, 20 years ago you might not have had the type of players. You might have thought it a wee bit maybe kind of unfashionable to go there. Your Troughtons, your Andy Grahams, you've got Big Parry in goals who have been excellent for you.
Yeah, I mean, genuinely a significant part of our squad, maybe all of them, players don't need to play part-time. Every single one of them could play full-time. You're mentioning Neil and Andy in the team of the year for the championship last year. Yeah. Neil, in my opinion, made more saves than any other keeper in Scotland. These guys are outstanding. They choose to play at Alloa, and that's great for Alloa. It's great that they choose our club to ply their trade. They're real professionals. They could play full-time football if they wanted. They choose to play for Alloa, and that's great. And it's great for our club. It's great for the team that these guys want to be here. So gone are the days where the part-time players were players who couldn't make it as a full-time pro. The players now are choosing to come and play for Alloa, and that's fantastic, and that's why we're doing quite well.
Mike, I owe you and Jim an apology, because when we spoke at the beginning of last season, both of you nailed me fairly quickly in terms of we spoke about the part-time aspect, and you were very emphatic, both of you, and you were correct that Alloa would stay up, and that you didn't see that the part-time thing was to be an issue. You've obviously got the Bunnet joining you this season in the championship, and Dick, we had him on a couple of weeks ago on the programme, and Dick again made light of the whole thing about the part-time element. Part-time football's not part-time football like it used to be, is it?
No, absolutely not. I mean, didn't get me wrong. There is a disadvantage. We're playing a Tuesday night. A lot of our guys are at work. And when you're looking at players with injuries, the recovery's slower, and set pieces are more difficult to develop. But the days of the part-time players not being as fit as the full-time players are gone. Our lads, they train 2 nights a week with us, but they train 2 nights a week on their own. So, and the best statistic I can give you of that, and it's one that will shock a lot of your listeners, is last season we were favourites to go down, obviously. Everybody discussed the fact that we wouldn't be as fit, and the other teams would win at the end of the games. Alloa scored more goals in the last 10 minutes of the season last season than any other team in the championship.
Wow.
Alloa won more points in the last 10 minutes of the season than any other team in the championship, than any team. So anyone that tells me that my guys aren't as fit as the rest of the boys in the other teams, they're just wrong. So the part-time game has changed. Yes, there are disadvantages, of course there are. But the players who play for me, and I'm sure Dick's the same, they are totally committed to their careers. And I think that statistic will shock people, but it's a fact. It will shock people. But it goes to what Dick's saying to you, what Jim said to you last season. We don't think our guys are okay. There are disadvantages, but they make up for it with their endeavour.
Well, here's one of the biggest compliments I think anybody could pay you. Jerry McCabe and I were discussing this the other night, and Jerry, we were saying about Dundee United and the teams that might be challenging to go up, and Jerry made a very good point that he thought the influence on who wins the championship this season might actually depend on how well they do against you and Dick, because he's rightly saying that Alloa and Arbroath will spoil people's parties this season.
I hope we spoil everybody's party. So,
then it's you that's going up.
Yeah, there was nobody that we didn't take points off last season. Our guys had a sticky first quarter. Yeah, we didn't win in the first 8, But if you look at the rest of the season, we showed what we can do. So after that sticky first quarter with no wins, look what we achieved. I think it says to itself. So we don't fear anybody. Absolutely. I mean, it's for them to fear us. We do our very best. We said it last season, but I'll say it again this season. We believe in ourselves. We believe in the guys that play for us. And Dick will be exactly the same. They've got great guys playing there at both, and they'll do very well.
You obviously had plenty of applications for the job at Alloa, because whenever we hear of any job that's going in football, and in Scottish football particularly at the moment, there seems to be a long list of candidates. What was it that swung it for Peter?
Well, we always have an idea inside my head what I want before. I go out to, we know we're always in danger of losing our manager. This season we decided, I had a chat to the board, and we decided that maybe a little bit more experience might be called for this year. The Championship is, in my view, the toughest league in Scotland.
We agree with that wholeheartedly, and we've said it for the last 5 seasons.
And the most enjoyable, Mike.
Aye, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's really, really, really tough. And for a less experienced manager, which is what I normally pick, it's a real hard learning curve. The first division, or when Paul came, the second division, gives you a little breath to draw breath and make a couple of mistakes. You've got no time to make mistakes in the Championship. And this time we've got a very, very good, mature, experienced squad, and with an experienced manager would enhance that. I always say you pick the right man, not an identikit. And for us, there was a lot of really good young managers in the making that will do a real job for clubs in the future. But we decided I wanted a bit of experience, a bit of game knowledge, and someone that could lead my guys. And I felt that all those boxes were ticked when Peter applied.
And do you think that experience as well, Mike, because I don't think there's ever been a point in Peter's career where he's been part-time, so do you think that experience will help with that matter?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we've had other managers in the past. I mean, Paul had never been part-time when he came to me, and but it is a learning curve. He's also worked with Fulham under-23s at Lens, and having players and then not having them, and never knowing when you're having them, and it's, of course, it's a new challenge for him. It's a new challenge that he's not worked with part-time players before, but I'm sure he'll learn pretty quick that they're part-time in as much as you've got less hours with them. They're part-time in as much as they train 2 nights a week with a club, but they're actually more than full-time, because their commitment to their football is such that they hold down jobs and then they give it, which requires a real state of mind. So I think you'll find that the professionalism and attitude of our guys will measure very well against his experience with some full-time players.
Mike, listen, good luck for the rest of the season. It's coming up, and well done on bagging Peter for your new manager. We're hoping to talk to Peter tomorrow if we possibly can, and just get his thoughts on things, but it's always good to talk to you, that. I always enjoy our chats, and thanks for getting back to us so that we could have a chat with you tonight.
Cheers,
good
guys.
luck for the rest of the season. Thank you. Thanks,
good luck, Mike.
There we are, Mike Mulraney talking to us, Alloa chairman, about why Peter Grant was chosen as the new manager and life in the Championship. Alloa and Arbroath, as Wee McCabe said the other night, will spoil people's parties.
Listen, Bill, it used to annoy me that, see when people used to say, you're a part-time team going up to play against whoever it was that were full-time, you were still a professional football player.
Yeah, but the problem was that teams like Dumbarton and that were the ones that were ending up going down, and everybody automatically looked at the part-time element rather than the quality of the players or whatever else was a factor in them going down. It's an easy scapegoat, the part-time thing.
The biggest thing is, like Sir Mike made a wee statement there, but we were all fit when we were part-time years and years ago, and we're starting out, we're fit boys. Do
you know the difference though, Ali? And here's the difference, and I've spoken to a number of players about this, and they all agree. They're all as fit, if not fitter. But there's an element of the training which is not focused. When they train on themselves, a lot of the time, it's not the same as training under a fitness coach on a basis, like a full-time player.
Yeah.
And you're having to kind of make your own. I know there are personal trainers, but they train you in a different way to the fitness coaches at clubs and things like that. And that's part of the thing. I'm not saying that they're not fit. I'm just saying that sometimes the focus on the type of fitness isn't quite the same.
I think the main thing is the preparation, Bill. Mike said that as well. It's the preparation. It's the set pieces. It's trying to organise things from a playing point of view, instead of the fitness, because you have to be corners against, corners for. You need to work on everything, free kicks, what they do at certain situations.
Yeah.
That's the time-consuming thing. Part-time players get fed up with that when they've got to stand and watch what's happening and things. So that is whereas full-time players can go through all that on the Thursday and then do wee drills on the Friday, and then they're prepared better for it. So that seems to be the thing that kind of goes against the part-time player for me.
What's your thoughts on Arbroath and Alloa this season within the Championship?
I think it's going to be tough this year for them. I really do, and not because of anything.
Not because of the part-time.
No, absolutely not. No, I just think that there's teams up there, Bill, and that even the Falkirks went down, and it just shows you who can, if they don't apply themselves properly. But the rest of the teams are throwing about a wee bit of dough. Even Morton, I thought, might have struck, but they've made some good signings. They've signed Peter Grant's boy. Things where guys are coming in with experience, whereas I think they're just signing a wee bit more quality than Arbroath and Alloa. For me, that's. I think it's going to be a wee battle down the bottom half of that table again.
Would you predict who you think's going up?
I'm going to. I think one of the. I really do think it'll be one of the D teams that will win the league, and one of the D teams will go. I think the two D teams will return this year. I think they're throwing that much money at it.
Well, that is a big thing.
They're going to have to. I think Inverness will still be hanging about there. One of my big mates, a big Thistle supporter, he's desperate for them to go up, but I can't see Thistle.
Well, of course, there's change ahead at Thistle as well. That we don't know.
Depends when he comes in.
Again, depending on who comes in, whether they want to keep Gary Caldwell there, or whether they decide it's time for change. And like managers who come in and want to put their mark on a club, people who come in that are owners, especially if they're involved in football in other ways at other levels, in other places, may have people that they have worked with before that they think this is the ideal guy for this job. These are all things.
You would be hoping, if you were a Thistle supporter, that things would get done and sorted out before the start of the season, Bill, wouldn't you? To get the steamroller going, to get the confidence built and get them charging up that league. But we just need to wait and see in that one. But it's going to be another intriguing season in the Championship, definitely.
All right, okay. Well, we'll see. I don't like saying it because I know the bonnet, and I fear more for Arbroath than I do for Alloa. I think Alloa again now have done it, and so they probably know a wee bit more about what they're up against, and they know where they've got to take points. And where
could be the Championship Hamilton Academicals.
Well, a wee bit, and that might be naive of me after one season, but a wee bit. Whereas Arbroath are going to come up. I don't see a lot of change at Arbroath from League One. I hope I'm completely wrong because I'd love Alloa and the Bunnet to stay in the Championship, but I think one of them will fall victim to it, and I think Arbroath's the most likely, in all honesty. Yeah. Right, let's move on. The big story of the day. It's causing absolute mayhem on social media. The transfer, potentially, of Philip Helander from Bologna to Rangers for people quoting around £3.6 million, £4 million, €4 million, $4.5 million. It's just figures all over the place, and everybody's saying the same thing. Well, they're not, but Jerry Collins is. Where's the money coming from? That's not an issue. What we do want to know is whether this deal is on, whether it's happened, whether, it's certain a way along the road. And I'm going to speak to Nima first of all. Let me say thank you for coming on. But I'm a bit reluctant.
Thanks for having me.
I'm a bit reluctant because I've got you on Twitter is Nima Tavalley, and then Nima Tavrud. Now, what is your second name?
Yeah, my name is Nima Tavalley, sorry, so it's two surnames.
Right,
so,
okay,
yeah.
all right. Now, you know as much as anybody about Italian football. Tell us about your credentials and how you know so much about Italian football. You're obviously a journalist. Who do you write for? Who do you work with?
Well, I started about 7 years ago. I started a website called sempreinter.com, and we're the biggest inter news site in the world in English. I've worked for Gianluca Di Marzio, his English team. I've worked for Calcio Mercato's English team. I've also been a part of. Actually, right now I do freelance work, exclusive content entirely for Goal.com.
Oh, right, okay.
There are 43 different. Yeah.
Right, well, now let's get to the meat and bones of this. Rangers, it's no secret, have been looking for a centre-back. They brought in George Edmondson, of course. They've got Connor Golson. They've got Nikola Katic. This has come a little bit from the blue for us, the Philip Helander deal. Tell me, first of all, how close is this deal? Where are we with it?
Well, I would say that it's pretty much a done deal because Filip Helander has, since Bologna changed coaches to Sinisa Mihajlovic, he's not been featured as often as he was before. Prior to that, with Inzaghi and other coaches, since he joined Bologna, he was one of the regular starters. But since then, since Mihajlovic took over, he was a little bit in and out of the team. He recently, I think it was a year ago when he signed a contract extension that will keep to 2022. But already last January there was murmurs, or actually verified that there was interest in Helander to leave Bologna, but neither Bologna wanted to sell, and he didn't want to leave in the middle of the season. But when it comes to the Rangers thing, this is something that's been going on for about 2 weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks, 10 days, 2 weeks, where Bologna, they have a completely new management. They have, they decided to keep Mihajlovic, who's done an excellent job. But then Walter Sabatini, the sporting director, came in, and Filip Helander is neither the kind of player, the central defender that Mihajlovic likes, or he's also not the kind of central defender that Sabatini usually employs. So I think it was definitely on the cards that he was going to leave. Filip has been in Italy for 4 or 5 seasons with Hellas Verona first, and now with Bologna. He was ready for a challenge to over on the British Isles, the British island. There was links in the past bringing him to Leeds to be reunited with his childhood mate Pontus Jansson, who left for Brentford just the other day. So that was, that didn't happen. But and with Jansson leaving, that was absolutely not going to happen. So as far as I know and what I've verified is that the deal is, Filip has an agreement with Rangers. He's agreed. He's accepted the move to Rangers. He's also declined moves to other clubs. I know Besiktas from Turkey were very interested, and and the name of another club whose name I cannot pronounce for the life of me, but it's an Istanbul club in the Turkish Super League. I can't pronounce it. I'm not going to try. But they made an offer. But yes, that's the one. Sorry, it's a bit of a tongue twister for me. No, they made an offer for him, and he declined it because he wanted to join Rangers. He was 100% adamant that he wanted to play in Britain, whether it was the Premier League or the Championship or the Scottish Premier League was. That's where he wanted to play, and when Rangers came into it, all other clubs kind of faded away. And the article, the exclusive I did for Goal about this, which you published today, was pretty much what we had verified was that there was an offer. Bologna wanted to double what they paid for him, and they paid 2-3 million. They loaned him for 6 months for 1 million euros, and then they paid 2 million to sign him. So they wanted to double that. And as far as I know, what I've had verified is that there is an offer of 4 million euros that's been accepted, and 2 million in add-ons.
Oh, okay, so
Well, that's what I was.
so you're talking about £3.6 million, €4 million, and then another €2 million on add-ons, which would take the total package to somewhere around £4.5 million in pounds.
Okay.
Let me ask you. He's 26 years old. He's 6'4". Can he play football?
Well, he is a Swedish footballer. He's a Swedish defender,
but what I'm saying is, though, being a centre back, 6'4", and 26 is great. But how good is he? What style of footballer is he?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Philip, he's the kind of. I would say that his style as a player is exactly how he is as a person. He's a very drawn back, shy. Not shy, but he's a very drawn back person. He doesn't take a lot of space. He's the polar opposite of his childhood friend Pontus Jansson, who, when Pontus walks into a room, he owns the room. He jokes with everyone. He takes a lot of space. Philip is the exact polar opposite. He's very timid in the sense of a person. He keeps a little bit, in the background. But when it comes to dedication and hard work and dedicating himself to the cause, then he's not. He's up there with the best of them. His never say die attitude, his loyalty. That's something that all clubs that he's been to have always praised him for. He's a very loyal player. He's a team player, and he's good in the air. He's really good in the air. Some would say that his weaknesses would maybe be the ball at his feet, but then again, I can't imagine that Steven Gerrard signed him to kind of use him as a sort of a Leonardo Bonucci, so to speak. I can't see that happening. I think they bought him to basically, to own the penalty area aerial-wise.
That's what I was going to say, Philip. So obviously the Scottish game would.
This is Nima Phillips.
I think the Scottish game would suit Philip because I've seen some videos of him, and he likes a last ditch tackle as well as commanding his six yard box. But I've also seen him playing some nice balls with his left foot into the channels for the forwards as well, where it would probably suit him in Scotland. So do you feel that the Scottish game would suit him better than the Turkish game?
Absolutely. I think one of the criticisms raised against him during his time in Italy has been the fact that they feel that they've sort of sometimes felt that his that the level that he was at with the ball at his feet and his understanding maybe of the game was not as high as they would like in the Serie A. I personally think that this move is an absolutely brilliant move for Rangers, and I think that defensively this will make Rangers a much more solid side than before, and I think that's exactly why Steven Gerrard has bought him.
If you had to compare him to another centre-back that we might know or recognise, who would it be, Nima?
Oof. But he's quite... It's difficult because I'm trying to compare him to other Swedish central defenders, and I can't really. Well, there is one, but he never really played in Britain as well. He also played for in the Serie A for Bologna and Genoa. Mikael Antonsson. He reminds me of him a little bit, but he's got a much more stronger mentality. He's got a much more stronger psyche. I would say well, with a little bit of tongue-in-cheek, I'd say a poor man's Victor Nilsson Lindelöf, so to speak.
Okay, all right. Is he?
The player who plays for Man United.
Yeah. Is he one of these? Is he one of these players who will get stuck in? Is he quite a physical player? Because one of the things that surprises players when they come to Scotland is how physical the game is.
Oh, that will not be a problem. I think that is exactly why he accepted it. I think he relishes that. He doesn't, he's not the kind of player who's scared of tackles and getting stuck in. I think he will lead by example. And I honestly think that if he's fit, and if he kind of, if he's able to be fit, which he's never had a problem with before, I think he will be one of the most popular players at Rangers. I think he's the kind of player that fans can relate to in the sense that he's very humble, but he's on the pitch. He does not, he's not afraid to get stuck in and get in there and win the ball and fight for the cause of the team.
I just wonder as well, Nima and Bill, if he's been in touch with Mikael Lustig, who spent a number of years at Glasgow Celtic and obviously had 120 caps for Sweden as well. So, I mean, if he's going to ask anyone about the Glasgow life, then he would have a chance with asking him.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, obviously, because of the Swedish contingency with Mjällby, Henrik Larsson, Mikael Lustig, and John Guidetti, who've all been at Celtic, there's no doubt in my mind that he's definitely spoken to Lustig because, and also, all these other players who I mentioned, they all know each other, don't they? So they all talk, and everyone has only good things to say about Glasgow as a city and the way of life, and also the fact that you get to play in the old firm is something that draws these players. They relish the challenges. I mean, it's one of the most heated derbies in the world. So that's definitely one of the things that I think.
And I'm trying to think.
There's tomorrow's headlines, guys. Celtic player recommends teammate to Rangers.
Well, I'm just Nima, I'm trying to think of the last Swedish Rangers player, and I'm thinking Jonas Tern, maybe in the 90s.
Yes, I think you're right. Jonas Tern was probably the last player to play that I know, that I can remember who played for Rangers. Yeah. But I think it's also the fact that I think he wanted to work with Steven Gerrard. I think that was a factor as well.
That's something that we speak about quite a lot on this programme, where it's the signing factor and the manager and how popular the manager is at Rangers, and you can attract, a decent level of player.
Yeah. No, I think definitely we shouldn't underestimate. I think it's a factor of things. I think it's a factor that Rangers is the top club in Scotland. They're almost destined to play in Europe in some form. It's also the fact that he wanted a completely different challenge. He wanted to play in the British Isles, and it's also Steven Gerrard, and also the fact that Glasgow, the lifestyle there, and knowing people, other players who played there, who recommend it. Because all Swedish players I know of, every single one who's been there, only have good things to say about Glasgow.
So do you think then, Nima, that coming to Glasgow and playing under Steven Gerrard would be an easier option for him than staying and playing under Sinisa Mihailovic?
I would agree with that, yes. No, but I think Sinisa Mihailovic is a manager who I'm fascinated by him as a character and his career as a player and a manager.
He's fantastic,
manager. I mean, the man is amazing, but he's pretty much insane, but in a good way. But so I think Felix wanted a little bit more calm after a few years of living in Italy and trying that lifestyle. I think he preferred moving up north. And I mean, he's 26 years old. He's been out in Europe since he was 21, 22. Went from the Swedish league directly to the Serie A, and now I think he was finished with Southern Europe, and I think it was definitely time for him to kind of move to a club that wanted to win titles, that had title ambitions, and wanted to play in Europe regularly.
I was going to ask you, the fact that he's turned these other teams down, and we have discussed the Gerrard factor on an ongoing basis since Steven Gerrard came to Scottish football, and we have said that it's quite obvious a number of players have come to Rangers because they want to learn at the feet of Steven Gerrard, which is quite interesting because obviously this is only his second year as a manager, and we're already seeing a different Steven Gerrard from last year when he does his press conferences. We've been commenting on that in the last few days. What kind of player is he? You said he's quite shy and reserved, so is he one of these players that a manager has to kind of put his arm round occasionally, or is he just a guy that gets his head down and gets on with his job?
That's the thing, though. Like when you compare him to player, like when he's on the pitch, he's a completely different player than off it. Like he's a very he doesn't take a lot of room, a lot of space as a person. But when he's on that pitch, it's all about winning. He's got a killer mentality. He's got a winning mentality. He wants to win. He gets stuck in. He's not the kind of guy that you have to put your arm around when it comes to being on the pitch at all. But when it maybe, on the side, he won't go into that dressing room and be the joker and the center of attention. That's what I meant when I said a little bit shy and reserved. But that's just not who he is. Whereas his childhood friend Pontus Jansson, who he grew up with, since he played with them since he was 12 years old, is the exact opposite. He goes into that dressing room, he's joking with everyone. You know, he takes a lot of room as a person in his personality.
So is Helander? So Helander on the pitch, is he like a defensive general? Does he marshal other players? Is he a leader?
Yeah. He is a silent leader, if you know what I mean. Like he's the kind of guy that, you know, when you need to, when there is a need for someone to yell and raise their voice, he will do that. He's not afraid of doing that. But aside from that, he's not the kind of guy who will provide you with quotes and stuff like that off the pitch, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He's more the kind of guy that gets on that and does the job and keeps a low profile off it.
Am I right in thinking this is a 3-year deal?
Yes, he had a 3-year deal with Bologna. I think from what I heard, the last thing I got confirmed was that it was a 4-year deal, but it could be a 3-year deal. I haven't had anything confirmed really yet, but it's a minimum 3-year deal, yes.
I don't want to jump the gun here, Nima, but it's just my way of thinking is that Rangers signing this 26-year-old defender who presumably still is really ambitious. Now, for me, it looks like he's wanting to come to Glasgow Rangers. He wants to play under Steven Gerrard. But do you feel he's good enough? You know, at the age of 26, he's still not reached his peak. He's good enough to step down to the English Premiership, and he's up here to play under Gerrard and then have ambitions to go there even further in his career.
He's of course, for any Swedish footballer who, you know, they want to play in the Premier League because of the historical connections between English football and Sweden. I mean, back in the 70s, they started showing English football on Swedish national TV, the equivalent of the BBC. So English football is huge in Sweden. So of course, I think except everyone except Zlatan Ibrahimovic wanted to play in England. And Zlatan came when he was 34 just to show that he could, and then he could, you know, say that he was a lion and all that, all the rest of it. But for him, I don't think that's not how he works, though, with Helander. I think he wants to go to Scotland because he wants to do a good job there. Now, if in 3 years' time things go really well, and he ends up in, if at the age of 29 he gets the offer to go to the Premier League, that's a completely different discussion. But that's not how he works as a player, and that's not how his mind works. I think he's fully, the way I know him is that he's fully focused on doing a great job for Rangers.
See, the reason why I asked that, Bill, was the fact that, you know, £3.5–4 million, you know, the kind of money that they're moving for doing in England. And if an offer comes in, and I don't want to, the guy's not even here yet, but if an offer comes in for 8, 9, 10 million quid and he's a really fantastic season, then Rangers benefit as well as the player.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's a win-win situation if he does well, and you can cash in on him and for twice as much as he paid. So, I think this is a brilliant deal for everyone involved. I think Bologna wanted to double their money. They did. Philip wanted to go to a club with title-winning aspirations. He played in Europe. He did. Rangers wanted an experienced, internationally experienced central defender and they did. So it's a win-win for everyone here.
Is this being reported widely in Italy at the moment, this deal?
No, we were the first to report it in Italy, actually. Goal. Apparently, no, in Italy, I think it's going to start now. I think tonight is when all the TV shows, because every night, Monday to Friday, there are these TV shows, the transfer window TV shows in Italy on print channels, and I think this will probably be mentioned there.
Yeah, they like the old calcio in Italy, that's for sure. They sure do.
Yes, they love the calcio.
Let me ask you, and please take this in the way that it's intended. It's not meant to be offensive. How if you like, how much would you stand behind your sources in terms of this deal? You said that to you it's pretty much a done deal. I'm assuming you've got it from somewhere. I don't want you to reveal that source, but you're fairly confident that the source is a strong source.
It's not just one source. Several sources.
All right. Okay.
Everything that I've written. Yeah, it's everything that I've written, and I wrote it in the piece as well. Everything that I've written in the piece is stuff that I've had verified from at least 2 different sources. So I'm fairly confident. But as you know, nothing is done until the papers are signed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everything can happen. I mean, if Barcelona were to swoop in, then I think you would prefer them, but I don't see that happening.
Why would he prefer the Barcelona to Rangers? Is the man mad?
Glasgow's sunnier in Glasgow than it is in Barcelona, Bill.
Is he off his head? What's wrong with this boy? Right, give me out of 10 how likely you think it is to happen then as it stands just now.
9, without a doubt.
Oh, you can't do better than that. Listen, Nima, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And I'm sure you've enlightened not just the minds of the Rangers fans, but lifted their hearts as well, because you've painted a glowing picture of this individual, Philip Helander. And I'm sure Rangers fans now are desperate to get confirmation that this deal is done. And to see him, I believe, from what I'm told on this side, that Rangers are hoping to tie this up before the weekend.
I think so as well. When I sent this over to my editor, Carlo Garganese, who's the global head of features at Go, who's probably is an awesome guy. He finished working because I'm down in Greece and I was like on holiday and I was like phoning him up going, we have to get this out because this will be made official within the next 24 to 48 hours. The way I look at it, Rangers want this done as soon as possible. Philip wants this done as soon as possible. So the way I look at it, it's down to Rangers now. It's down to Rangers to negotiate with Bologna. It's down to Rangers to satisfy Bologna's demands and to negotiate with one of the best negotiators and transporting directors in the world of football, not only Italy, but the world of football, Walter Sabatini, who knows how to charge for his players. But as I said, 4 million plus 2 million add-on, thereabouts, I think that will wrap things up.
Okay. Nima, thanks very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Nima.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me. It was a great pleasure talking to you guys, and have a good show.
Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you again at some point, I dare say, throughout the season. Even if it's just for an update to give to you this time for Mr. Helander. There you go, Ali, straight from the horse's mouth. Yeah. I don't think he could have painted any more of a glowing review of this individual. Quite obvious why Steven Gerrard wants him. Strong in the air, a leader, full of tenacity, an organiser at the back. Rangers, like Celtic, have lost things at set pieces over the last few seasons.
Predominantly left-sided.
Yeah,
predominantly left-sided.
He is predominantly left-sided. Yeah. Again, paying that kind of money, it's got to call into question what happens with Katic. But, you've got to play your strongest team. And this boy seems like a real player.
Yeah. Yeah, I've watched some clips of him.
Get him in before Brexit as well, and he doesn't have to go for the work permit.
I kind of disagree with him, but I think his distribution looked no bad in the clips that I've seen. So, but he sees more of it than me. It's just clips I've watched.
Yeah, but you know what it's like. It's like these. You look at these clips, and it's all the best of, isn't it? Really.
Absolutely.
But this is an interesting and exciting signing for Rangers. How do you feel now that you've heard what Nima said in terms of how it might help or even influence Rangers this season?
Massively. But as you say as well, there's the defenders that they've got there. It's just a wee bit kind of where they're going to try and move them to, who's going to be left out, who's going to be happy, who's not. But as you know yourself, it's when you get in better quality, you've got to go with a better quality, Bill. So that's the way football works. We've all been in a position where better players have come into the places, and it's down to the guys to try and keep their position in the team. But only time will tell how good this guy is. But if they're laying out that kind of money, then I should imagine he's pretty decent. And to be fair, playing for Sweden, he's only been capped a number of times, but if he's playing at that level and he's going to be a regular in the Sweden team, that's where I used to laugh at people with the Lustig situation, and the people that he's finished, they're listening. He's still playing the Sweden team, Bill. They were still playing him in the Sweden team.
No, I agree. I agree.
And he was a fantastic servant to Sweden. So this boy, at 26, just reaching his peak, could be a bit special.
I think the interesting thing as well is that he has turned other teams down for Rangers, which means he wants to be a Rangers player. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming that he knows something about the club. I
just think the Gerrard factor's crept into it as well.
But Nima did say that, he kind of said about, one of Scotland's top clubs playing in Europe in some form every season, blah, 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 blah. I can see why it's an attraction. It's interesting. Let's talk about the Gerrard factor again, because we've mentioned it. And this is the first absolute proof, I think, that you've got of the draw of Steven Gerrard to bring players that are good level players to Rangers and want to play for Rangers under Steven Gerrard.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The guy.
Have we fully appreciated?
Everybody knows who he is.
Have we fully appreciated, do you think, the Gerrard factor? Or, although we've talked about it, have we underestimated it a little bit?
Listen, there's no doubt about it, Bill, right? When the Celtic fans, who rightly so are goading the Rangers fans, are treble, they're going for another one, they're still in a great position, they're probably still favourites. This is Gerrard's second season. There's no doubt about it. When he came to Rangers, it was a sit up and, wait a minute. There's no doubt about that. You can say what you want about the guy. I know he still had to prove himself as a manager because he was a fantastic player. But he's starting to prove himself. He's getting better. The Rangers have got closer.
Jerry Collins said last night, and I've said it at the beginning of the week, I see when I watch Steven Gerrard's press conferences now, a different Steven Gerrard. It's a more focused, more determined, more steely, more confident. And I mean more confident in as a manager rather than as a player, because Steven Gerrard had nothing to prove as a player.
No.
But he's got a lot to prove, and he said that himself as a manager. And he said that's why, he rubbished reports about Derby and no interest in Newcastle, because the one thing I think about Steven Gerrard is when he starts a task, until he gets to a level in that task where he's happy that he succeeded in it, he won't walk away from it.
No.
And I think now you can see a different Steven Gerrard now.
Well, I think he's focused on trying to win something. Don't forget, Bill, he's not won anything yet.
No, and he says that.
But what else? What has he done? He's got the monkey off his back. He beaten Celtic the last couple of times.
Yeah.
And if that's not getting a wee bit closer and, would make Celtic sit up and take notice. I mean, by the way, not just beat them, beat them convincingly at Ibrox. So he has got a bit closer. And I think the next challenge is seriously to mount a challenge for a trophy. Whether it be a League Cup, whether it be Scottish Cup, whether it be hanging on in there in the league. Rangers have to win something this year, Bill. They've got to. Or else, that's 2 years he's been there.
Rangers have got to make sure that the team that goes on the park every week is a team that doesn't take things for granted. And the teams that they lost points again last season, they have got to steamroller. They've got to take control. For me, Rangers in games last season took their foot off the gas on occasions and became quite complacent at certain times.
I think the big turning point was the cup game against Aberdeen at Ibrox, when Rangers were favourites, big favourites. Yeah. And that was a big blow.
When Lewis Ferguson popped up in the final minutes.
Massive blow.
Yeah.
And even the other game when the big centre-back scored at Ibrox. Do you remember that one? Yeah. Aberdeen came away with the win there. You're right. They have to put these teams to the sword. They really do have to, go out there and make a statement.
And that's as much about attitude as it is quality.
Yeah. And what do you do as a manager? But what do you do when you've got this run in Europe again? Is he trying to build that where he can, change his team to the league? See, for me, I think you pick your team and your team's winning, you don't change it, Bill.
Well,
unless you've got niggles.
I actually do think you will see more rotation this season with Rangers.
Because you think they've got better players?
Well, I think they've got a better squad and a stronger squad, number one. But number two, I think instead of building the team round Morelos. By the way, you and our producer tweeted me a picture of Alfredo Morelos at Glasgow Airport, which apparently... Was that taken tonight? Was it taken earlier? When was it taken? Oh, right, so we don't know when it was taken. It might just be him going away on his holidays earlier on in the summer or whatever.
Home for Gibraltar.
It could be anything, but anyway, it was tweeted and it's all over Twitter apparently. But you know what it's like, everybody will be putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 6. But what I was going to say is I don't think Rangers will play the same style this season, week in, week out.
How many goals did they score, Bill?
When, last season?
Yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head.
24?
But they were who?
Morelos.
He scored 30 in the season.
30, 24 league, was it? 24 league or something like that?
Something like that.
No, listen, I don't think you can leave a guy out like that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I also don't think you build your team round him, especially when he's got the disciplinary
you're right there. They relied on
lesson
him
that
too
he's
much.
had before.
They relied on him too much.
But that's another thing that Stephen Gerrard has been very emphatic about. He has made it clear to all players what's acceptable and what isn't acceptable in terms of discipline.
And the biggest thing is that the guys that are in there regular have now got competition for places.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing for Rangers.
And fairly strong competition.
Yeah. Celtic are the same. They're trying to build that up as well, and get competition in where guys have been pretty regular, because they can be pretty regular because they've been winning everything.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll finish things off and talk more football here on Rock Sport.
UEFA Euro 2020 will be the biggest ever football event to come to Glasgow. Millions will watch. Some will actually be there. Make sure you're one of them. Ticket applications are now open for matches at Hampden Park, but only until July 12th. Live it for real. Apply now at euro2020.com.
The list of things you need to do gets longer at this time of year, whether that's for the house or in your business. So take one thing off your list right now. Your septic tank could need emptied. Let Grant Henderson Tankers empty your septic tank in the home or work, farm, factory or workshop at very competitive rates. We are septic tank specialists, experienced, safe and dedicated to environmental safety with our own licensed disposal site. Find out more at wemovesh.it or call 01698 284 987. Grant Henderson Tankers. Let the experts manage your waste.
At Motorpoint, we put the super into car supermarket. We're here to save the day with a choice of over 7,000 low-mileage, nearly new cars. Find your next car in a flash with our lightning fast service and same-day drive away. Plus, with Motorpoint's price pledge, if you find the same car for less, we'll match the price and give you a £50 Amazon voucher. Visit Motorpoint Glasgow today, just 2 minutes from Junction 3 of the M74. T's and C's apply. See website for details.
Have you ever bought an investment sold by Barclays, Halifax, Lloyds, Santander or any other bank or financial advisor? Investments like stocks and shares ISAs, investment bonds and certain types of pension can be risky. If you lost money with one of these investments, you could be owed thousands of pounds in compensation. Even if you no longer have the investment or the paperwork, here at Goodwin Barrett we can still help. To start your free assessment with Goodwin Barrett, text GOOD to 66777. That's GOOD to 66777.
Love music, live sport. Talking football with Bill Young and Ali Graham on Rock Sport Radio.
OK, don't forget, after 8 o'clock tonight, Dave Mack is back with you with the Rock Sport years, the hits and the sporting headlines from certain years. And he'll be with you right across that on Rock Sport right after this. Let me look at a couple of other bits and pieces. Neil Lennon says he's never heard of Sergio Quintero after the 20-year-old presently playing at Imabura in his homeland claimed he was in talks with the Scottish champions after starring for Ecuador in the Under-20s World Cup in Poland this summer. Is Mr. Lennon playing this down so that nobody else takes an interest in this boy, or not?
It's maybe somebody that they've got an eye on, Bill, but I don't think he'd be interested. I don't think Celtic fans would be doing cartwheels with signing a boy that he's never heard of, so and nobody's heard him. But
well, having said that, Brendan Rodgers did say at one point when it was Marian Shved that was coming to him that he had never seen the boy.
No.
So who knows the way things
saying
work.
He's been doing pretty well, but I've not seen him featured in anything.
No, neither have I. Hibs look as if they might get Mark McNulty back to Easter Road. Gomez has said that the striker won't feature and doesn't have a future with the English Championship club.
That'd be a big signing back for them. I know a couple of Hibs guys, and they've been quite impressed with him.
He actually enjoyed his time there, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it got him into the Scotland squad.
I mean, so, he would be absolutely delighted coming back up here, I would think, whether or not for a permanent deal. But he'd come up here and scored a few goals, and the Hibs fans really took to him. So you want to go somewhere where you're wanted, Bill, and it'd be a great fit.
Listen, I don't know what to make of this one, because Stevie May's been told he can leave Aberdeen. It seems that Ross County, St Johnstone, Dundee and Dundee United have all got some kind of reported interest in him. But then Derek McInnes is coming out and saying today in the papers that it's not a permanent move. He doesn't want him to leave permanently. It's only a loan. I'm not quite sure. I'm confused. Do you know any more about this story than I do?
The whole move...
Have you seen both of these stories?
Yes, and the whole move for me, it hasn't worked at Aberdeen for Stevie May.
No, it hasn't.
It hasn't worked.
It hasn't.
So if it's not working, why are you holding on to him? If it doesn't work for the player, move him on.
Let me ask you a question. Why do you think it's not been working for Stevie May at Aberdeen? Is it because he's not been played in the proper position or asked to play the right role?
I'm going to tell you why I think, Bill, honestly. And I absolutely think he'd had one good season and he get his big move. And that one good season, what we're talking about with guys that Celtic and Rangers are taking chances on. And then he's not been very good after that.
Right.
He was in and out the Sheffield Wednesday team. He's moved again and loaned to somebody. He's come up here, and it's no worked.
See, I've got
I think he's a St Johnstone player.
I've got to be honest with you. I've watched Stevie May over the last couple of seasons, and just couldn't see what the fuss was about. He does a lot of running around, but that's about it.
I don't know. Listen, I don't watch him every week, but speaking to guys, speaking to mates, speaking to people who know football, who watch football, can't see anything in Stevie May either. So, for me, he needs to find a club that wants him and plays him. But is it the Scottish Premiership? I really don't know. Probably the best move when he kicked off was going back to St Johnstone.
Well, St Johnstone are one of the clubs interested. They're still in the Premiership. Ross County have come up this season.
I'd love to know his goal
They're
ratio.
looking at him. Well, I'd not be very high.
No.
Not be very high at all.
So, I mean, if you're taking him on there...
Is he better dropping down the league to Dundee or Dundee United?
I think it'd build his confidence up. Absolutely.
How old is Stevie May now? 26.
26.
You see, now that stuns me again. This is a guy that seems as if he's been around forever, but he's still only 26 and should be at the peak of his career.
So would it be right in saying then he probably gets moved around about 2021 then down to Sheffield Wednesday?
Well, it must be a bit about that.
Because it's about 4 or 5 seasons he's been floating about where he's been inconsistent, he's not been a regular, and in his 4 or 5 years he's just disappeared. Well, this is what happens to these players. He's had a great season there, and by the way, they won the Scottish Cup, didn't they, St Johnstone?
Yeah.
That was his season, his big season, he's got to move.
Right, you mentioned it earlier on. Let's talk about Lee Hodson. 27-year-old has gone to Gillingham with Stevie Evans.
Yeah.
Says that the third tier of English football is on a par with the Scottish Premiership. I mean, is that the dumbest thing that anybody said as a footballer so far this season?
It's a wee swipe at the game, isn't it, for some reason? We've proven it before. Rangers and Celtic and teams go down and play them in Europe, play them and beat them. I think the old firm would be, after a season in the Premiership, no up there, but could hold their own in the bottom half of the Premiership.
You say that. I remember hearing, when I was at Talk Sport, I remember doing an interview with somebody about this very subject, because at that time there was a huge talk, and Rangers and Celtic were collaborating on putting feelers out about getting into the English Premier League, right, when I was at Talk Sport. So it was a big talking point then.
It was, aye.
And I interviewed somebody, and I can't remember who it was, and there was 2 guys that were on. One of them was saying, Rangers and Celtic, they'd be mid-table clubs in England and all the rest of it. And this other guy, and I forget who it was, I wish I could, but it was a Premiership manager. I don't think it was Harry Redknapp, but it might have been. Said, look, what you've got to remember is that once Rangers and Celtic establish themselves in the Premiership, they will get players that will want to go for them, and their revenues will increase substantially, which means they will be able to afford those players.
Yeah.
And so, therefore, they will become very competitive.
Yeah.
Because of the stature of the clubs and the way that they'll increase their revenues and their spending power correspondingly. And I think that's a fairly valid point.
Well, here's my only problem with it, Bill. You know, and I'm not bringing Ashley into Newcastle effect. I'm just talking about Newcastle. You've been doing there, Newcastle, Sunderland, Middlesbrough. But all this money now that they've got, and they're still toiling. They still can't attract players' wives want to go to London. You know,
well, I think you're partially right there.
Yeah.
I think you're partially right because they have attracted them previously.
Yeah.
But the problem you've got now is that Middlesbrough don't pay the kind of money that they used to pay. Sunderland have dropped down because of turmoil within the club.
Yeah.
And I think the Ashley factor plays a part with Newcastle the same way that the Gerrard factor plays a thing with Rangers, but in reverse with Ashley. You only have to look at the managers that have been through that club. If you're a player, do you want to go and play with a club like that?
Absolutely.
Where you're signed by one manager and a fortnight later a manager comes in and says, I don't rate you.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree with that. But I'm just talking about the attraction.
But look, Newcastle in the North East is a huge attraction for players because of the nightlife and things like that and the reputation. I think it's more about the personalities and the spending power and the turmoil that's affected these clubs.
So Rangers and Celtic had the same dough as the Premiership teams.
Yeah,
they could be a top.
I think
top
they
team.
could. I think they could because they'd be playing in the Premiership, and it's playing in the Premiership that attracts these players.
Yeah.
That's it. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. Dave's up next with the Rock Sport Years. Thank you.
Love music, live sport. Talking football with Bill Young and Ali Graham on Rock Sport Radio.